We'll get started now. So, a little bit about me. My name is Caroline. I've been at Sports Recruits for about 7 years now, actually. I started off at Penn State, worked with their women's soccer program for a few years on the operations side, then went on to US Soccer, also working in operations for the youth national teams, and then, decided to make my way over to Sports Recruits while in grad school. My role here is to help families get set up on the platform, understand how Sports Recruits works, kind of provide some education about the recruiting process. And then we have several different membership options, which we will walk through at the end. My role is to also help families understand what options that we offer, and different ways that we can help. So before we get started here, a little bit about our agenda. We're going to talk about a lot, but I promise I'll go quickly. Again, if you have questions, please drop those into the Q&A. We'll talk about exposure, your profile, what that really means. We'll talk about building a target list of schools and how to really start to narrow down your search, using your advocates in the recruiting process, both academic and athletic. The importance of video in recruiting, I'll show you a couple tools that we have on the platform. Messaging college coaches, basically communicating with these coaches, how to do that, when you should do that, and how to use Sports Recruits as well. In-person evaluations, so all these in-person recruiting opportunities that you may be invited to. And then we'll also talk about, again, the Sports Recruits plans. We have different options for families depending on how much help you guys need. So we'll start with importance of online exposure. I can't say enough how important it is for a student athlete to basically put themselves out there. You may be the best one on your team or the best person in your county or your school district, but at the end of the day, these college coaches are trying to evaluate hundreds of student athletes. So you need to have a place for yourself to get that exposure and get your name out there. The Sports Recruits Network, to give you a kind of an overview, Sports Recruits is your one-stop shop for everything college recruiting related. So it's a network online of student athletes like yourselves and then college coaches. The student athletes, you're trying to get exposure, you're trying to get yourself out there. College coaches, on the other side, they're trying to recruit the best talent and find the best members for their program. Sports Recruits sits in the middle. We are the bridge between athletes and coaches. We also offer recruiting guidance to help families navigate their next steps. We also work with a bunch of events. So you may be going to an event that's using Sports Recruits. That means when a coach is on the sidelines, they're not scribbling down notes in a notepad. They're on the Sports Recruits platform making those evaluations, using your profile and using our software. So again, kind of like a network of student athletes and college coaches and events. Building a profile is basically building a resume, right? That's the best way to put it. You've got your video on there, your academic information, your coach's information. Maybe you're written up in the paper, or you make all state, or your team wins a state championship, whatever the case may be. Your profile on Sports Recruits is your way of painting a picture in a college coach's mind of what you would potentially bring to their program. Again, similar to a resume if you were applying to a job. So video is super important. We're going to talk about that. Academic information is also really important. But also you really do want to make sure that you're keeping this information up to date. I'm not going to keep it up to date for you at Sports Recruits. That's your job as the student athlete to make sure that all the information a college coach is seeing is current. You have your profile. Now you need to really figure out, okay, I need to build a list of schools here. Depending on your sport, there are potentially thousands of college programs out there. How are you supposed to narrow it down? We use these 5 factors here on the recruiting guidance side to help families narrow down their list. Now, when I say narrow down your list, I don't mean, okay, you need to figure out 2 schools that you're interested in. We want you to cast a wide net. Same way, if you were applying to schools and you weren't an athlete, you wouldn't just apply to one college and hope that you get in. Same thing goes for college recruiting. You want to have reach schools, fit schools, and safety schools on your list so that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, just looking for reach schools, but you're also not selling yourself short and just looking at safety school options. These different factors here can start to help you whittle it down, and you can use our school search tool to do that. But academically, hey, are you looking to study engineering? Not every school has that. So right off the bat, you should be filtering for the major that you're interested in. Athletically, when you're looking around and maybe you've got teammates who are going on to Division 1 programs, are you at the same level that they're at? Or would you be a better fit for a Division 2 or Division 3 school? When we look at building a list of schools, no matter what your level is, and again, you should be leaning on your athlete advocates for this, your coaches, but no athlete should ever have only Division 1 schools on their list because at the end of the day, less than 1% of high school athletes play Division 1. So you really want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. Geographically, that's pretty self-explanatory. Socially, I talk to student athletes who say, hey, I'd really like to study abroad, or I'd like to be involved in a fraternity or a sorority. You need to keep that in mind when you're looking at schools because depending on the school, if it's a top program, you probably aren't going to have much time or the option to study abroad or participate in Greek life. So things to consider. Financially, this is a really tough one, right? Because when you're going into the recruiting process, there's no way of knowing how much scholarship you're going to get from these coaches, or if you even will at all from an athletic perspective. So you do want to make sure that you're talking as a family about, okay, at the end of the day, what can we afford? So that going in how much scholarship you'll need. Grants are an option. Our recruiting advisors at Sports Recruits work a lot with families around financially, financial aid, scholarships, grants. What does that really look like for a family? The school search tool, really self-explanatory, but I just want to cover a couple pieces. These filters here, right off the bat, say I'm a soccer player. If I have a soccer profile, I'm only going to see soccer schools. So if I'm interested in a school and I'm on this school search tool, I know that school has a soccer program. And these filters are built to, again, help you narrow down your search. So make sure you're clicking the little favorite button on these schools. Coaches can see, I don't have see um, if you have favorited their school, but they can't see all of the schools that you've favorited. So keep that in mind when you're building your list. Don't worry that a school is going to think they're one of 50 schools you're interested in. If I favorite Penn State, Penn State can see that there's an interest from me, but they can't also see that I'm looking at Ohio State or Michigan State or Dickinson University. So keep that in mind. Definitely build your list of favorites and organize it as such. So, using your advocates, I get a lot of questions from families on my calls about how do I know if I can play D1? How do I know if I can play D2 or D3? Or is a junior college a better fit? We really want you to lean on your coaches as your athlete advocates. Same way, and I know I keep using these corny references, but your profiles, like your recruiting resume, your advocates, those are like your references that an employer would reach out to on a job application. So you really want to lean on them for help with, okay, do you see me as a Division 1 player? Do you see me as a mid-major Division 1 player? Or, do you think I should be looking at Division 2 schools? I don't want you to put all of the weight behind your athlete advocates just because honestly, you never know. And it depends on the relationship you have with your coach, but also leaning on academic advocates such as guidance counselors. On the recruiting guidance side, we definitely do a lot of work with our student athletes around, okay, based on all these different data points, essentially on you as a player and as a student athlete, here are schools that you should probably be lining yourself up with. These are schools that are going to be a reach, fit, safety. Again, we can talk about that with the different membership options. But again, it says it here on the page. Your advocates are there to help. Lean on them. They want to talk with you about this. But, and I tell student athletes this all the time, you need to be your own advocate with your coaches, right? So they're not going to be contacting you and saying, hey, let's build a list of schools. You need to go to your coaches with your list and say, what do you think about this? Do these schools make sense for me? So now I want to talk about video in recruiting because video is crucial to the college recruiting process. I always tell families, think of your video, whether it's a highlight reel or your pinned playlist or even a skills video. This is your evidence that you're using when you're talking to coaches. They've got your profile, so they know your grades and they see where you're playing. But at the end of the day, With your profile, it's just a name on the page. Your video is what makes you a real student athlete. So video is so important. And I never want a family to think, okay, we need one highlight reel one time, and that's going to be an end all be all for my student athlete. No, you need to have at least one highlight reel per season. And, ideally creating pinned playlists with new clips frequently, whether that's from a showcase or a tournament, or if you're a pitcher and you play softball in the bullpen or batting practice, whatever the case may be, you want to use your video to show coaches how you're developing. So make sure that you're uploading video regularly. There are a few different types of video that you can put on your profile. And by the way, you can put an unlimited amount of video on a Sports Recruits profile, no matter if you're a free member or a platinum member. Everybody has unlimited video uploads because, again, college coaches are coming into Sports Recruits trying to evaluate student athletes. They want to see video. So a pinned playlist, that's going to be your way of capturing a coach's interest quickly. When they click into your pinned playlist, they're going to see a bunch of clips that you've tagged. So again, as a pitcher, you would have your pitching clips, you would have your batting, you're tagging these different clips based on what you're doing. So that's really important. Highlight reels are going to be more of like a full season and your best of clips. Sometimes I say it's like a trailer to a movie. It's what you're going to use to show these coaches, your best stuff. Skills video, that would be from a training situation. So if you're a goalkeeper in soccer and you work with a goalie coach or you're running drills, that would be more of a skills video, working on your mechanics, not in-game play. And then live footage is also great. So like if you're a volleyball player, maybe you have just one game and it's unedited, so coaches can sit there and watch the whole thing. Video library, we talked about it a little bit. Upload and embed games, highlight reels, skills videos. We've got a couple of partners, Sideline HD, Ball Time. That means your video can flow right into your Sports Recruits page from those platforms. And then if you use Huddle or YouTube, you can embed that link into your video library as well. So it's a simple copy paste. And make sure when you're uploading video, you are toggling it to visible so that college coaches can actually see it. That's something that sometimes comes up where a student athlete thinks that they've uploaded video and they're like, gosh, Caroline, why don't I see this video on my profile? You probably just don't have the visibility toggle moved correctly. So make sure you're doing that. Now, messaging college coaches, another big piece here, right? You've got your profile, you've got your list of schools, you've uploaded video. Now what? Okay, you have to contact coaches. I tell student athletes all the time, college coaches, for the most part, they're not going to be the ones to make that first contact with you. You need to make that first contact with them. So we've built this messaging system. It is an email system. So when you email a college coach through the Sports Recruits platform, it's still coming from you. It's a direct email from you, the student athlete, and it hits their .edu inbox. It also goes to their Sports Recruits inbox. And at the bottom of every email you send through the Sports Recruits platform, it automatically links your profile. Okay. So you're able to send a message to any coach in the country. You have unlimited unlimited messages that you can send. And again, it is not a recruiting service email. It's you sending these emails to coaches. We've heard from college coaches in the past that they don't want to get blast messaged, and they can tell when it's just being sent to hundreds of coaches at a time. So you definitely want to take the time to make an email to a coach personalized. We have a bunch of email templates that we help our student athletes with and use, but you should still be personalizing those templates. It's not like a copy paste scenario. Which gets us to, when should you be contacting coaches? Introducing yourself around events. So that would be before you go to an event, letting them know where you'll be and maybe even asking them to come see you play. After an event, thanking them for seeing you play, or maybe they weren't able to come see you play, telling them that you've got video from the event. Whenever you have new video, you should be reaching out. Grades, test scores, any other updates. If you're written up in the paper, I mean, you really want to be the squeaky wheel to a certain extent. And even just asking a coach, hey, I would love to know more about your program, or do you have any camps coming up? We have heard from college coaches, if I don't hear from a student athlete for a few months, I pretty much assume that they've moved on and they're no longer interested in my program. So I want that to be almost like an alarm bell to you guys all on this call. I need to be proactive. I need to be consistent in my communication with coaches, knowing that for the most part, the student athlete is the driver of those conversations, especially early on in the recruiting process. Once you have a rapport with a coach and you guys are maybe you've already been on a visit, sure, of course, they're going to be reaching out to you as well. But don't think, oh, a coach viewed my video and then they didn't email me. That does not mean that they're not interested in you. Usually they're waiting for you to reach out. So, an in-person evaluation, camps, clinics, prospect days, let's just cover a few of those because I know it's a little confusing. So, a prospect day on the left-hand side there, that's going to be hosted by one school. So, say I'm a soccer player, I'm interested in Penn State, they're going to have what they would call an ID camp. So, that would be a prospect day for them where a lot of it is going to be evaluation, your opportunity to play in front of that school. The more popular the program is, the more major the program is, the more expensive those kinds of prospect days will be. So keep that in mind. Don't let that be the only thing you're doing with trying to get interest from a coach. A student athlete should never attend any of these four events if they're not talking to coaches or if they haven't reached out to coaches. Tournaments, I guess I would say that is the outlier because a lot of times you're just going with your team, your club team or your travel team. But like a showcase or a camp or a prospect day, don't sign up and just hope that that coach knows that you've got the grades and you're interested in their school, etc. You always should reach out to coaches before you go to one of these events. Camps and clinics, that's going to have multiple schools attending, and it's a lot of education and more skills focused. Showcases, that's heavy on evaluation. Say you're a baseball or a softball player, you might be familiar with like Head First. That's a big showcase event. That's where a bunch of schools are attending purely for the purpose of evaluation and prospecting. So we've covered a bunch of topics here. Now, with the Sports Recruits plans, I do want to say, just to clarify, if you are part of a club that utilizes Sports Recruits and provides a Sports Recruits plan for you, you don't need to pay attention to any of this. This is for individual users and for families who are looking for additional support. So we'll talk through the different options here and then we'll get to the Q&A. So the different plans. Pro is the first option. I like to say the Pro plan is the hands-off version of Sports Recruits. So with the Pro plan, you will have access to the messaging system, the college coach views on your profile, and then depending on your sport, the roster needs filter, where you're able to filter for schools that are specifically recruiting your position. College coach view tracking, we didn't get into much, but this is awesome. When a college views or a coach views your profile or watches your video, we track all of that and we notify you. So if I have a video view, it would say Penn State University just viewed your highlight reel. So gives you a lot more transparency to what's going on. Messaging system we talked about, that's where you're able to email with coaches and it unlocks the communication piece, allows you to actually be proactive in your recruiting process, meaning reaching out to schools you're interested in. And then the roster needs filter, really great. That's college coach updated. It's them telling you which positions they're recruiting for in each class. Pro is available monthly for $99 a month. So just keep in mind that is a monthly membership. So if you're looking for anything over 3 months, pretty much 4 months, you really should be going for the annual plan. It'll be a lot cheaper for you. But if you are a freshman or a sophomore, you also should really be looking at our recruiting guidance plans because you see where it says lifetime access to pro features. That means it's not like the pro where you're paying per year. If you purchase silver or gold or platinum, you're only paying one time and you have the option to do an installments plan. So again, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, please schedule a call with me. Let's talk through all of this. We'll figure out which option makes the most sense for you. But yeah, lifetime access to the pro features with any of the guidance plans. The silver plan is kind of a recruiting starter kit. So one professional highlight reel. So we have a post-production team at Sports Recruits that will build a highlight reel for you for your profile. You have a strategy session with a recruiting analyst, which is awesome. That's where you guys sit down with an analyst and put together a personalized game plan. So they'll talk about your profile, your list of schools, what to say to coaches, which camps you should go to, talk with you about how scholarships work. Think of it like a crash course in how to get recruited. And then we don't have it listed here, but in the silver plan, it also includes college coach email templates. So you'd be set up with a whole library of templates that you can work off of for all your communication with college coaches. All right, gold, our next level down there, most popular option for a couple reasons. The big pieces to the gold plan are 2 professional highlight reel credits and then unlimited recruiting support via email. So unlike the silver plan, where you have your strategy session and then you guys are on your own, with the gold plan, you have ongoing support. So all the questions that come up along the way, hey, what should I say back to this coach? I just got invited to this prospect day. Should I go? I have a question about a scholarship offer that I just received. Can I negotiate on it? All these questions that come up inevitably along the way. With the gold plan, you have unlimited access to our recruiting advisors. So you're able to reach out to them at any time. You have their support. So a great option for families who really feel like, hey, I know we're going to have questions. I know we're going to need more help. And then the most hands-on option is the platinum plan. So pro is the least hands-on, platinum, the most hands-on. I often compare this to having a tutor or a personal trainer because from day one, you're matched up with a recruiting analyst who's going to hold your family's hand every step of the way. So helping you pick the right schools, helping you with all your emails, prepping you for phone calls, walking you through your scholarship negotiation later on, helping you with admissions as well, picking the right camps and showcases to attend, putting together all the video, unlimited professional highlight reels, unlimited strategy sessions and phone calls with your recruiting analyst. This is the best option for a family who really wants somebody to work with directly because you have that dedicated analyst working with you. Again, I know it's a lot of information to cover. I'm going to drop that calendar link again into the chat here. So you can schedule a call to talk more about this and figure out, hey, what's going to be the best option for our family? Now, I do want to open it up. I think we have a few minutes left here. So let's do some Q&A. I think I saw some questions already coming in. Feel free to drop those in now. And if I don't get to them, shoot me an email and we can definitely talk through it. Okay. I have a question here about, let's see, in which grade level would you recommend starting the process of contacting coaches? So this is a great question. If you have any aspirations for Division 1, and I would even say Division 2, freshman year, you should be uploading video, getting your profile all squared away, and then starting to reach out to schools that are on your target list. You definitely should be reaching out to them. For Division 3, you can definitely start more towards sophomore year. That's totally fine. But honestly, and again, if you're now a junior or a senior even, and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't started contacting coaches, please don't panic. There are tons of schools, even for senior year, that are still like looking at student athletes. If you're a senior, might be time to maybe look at some junior colleges if you're starting a little late in the process. But it really depends on your situation, depends on the schools that you're interested in. It's not as tight button of a question as just, okay, start grade 9 or freshman year. Let's see here. Is there an option between the gold/silver and the regular pro membership if your student is a junior this year? We do have some flexible pricing for juniors. So please, I don't see a contact information in that question, but please schedule a call. We can talk about, your options and really figure out what's going to be the best fit for your family. Please schedule a call. That'll be the best bet. Oh, this is a great question. When emailing the school, how do you know if you are emailing their head coach or assistant coach? So first of all, if you're using the SportsRecruits messaging system, we have it labeled for you. So when you go type in Penn State or actually, Pennsylvania State University and you click on the name of the school, their coaches are going to drop down. It'll tell you Erica Dombach, head coach, Ann Cook, assistant coach. When you're emailing schools, I do recommend emailing the full coaches list. But if it's a Division 1 program, likely the assistants are the ones who are actually handling recruitment. So I would say email everybody, but it's likely going to be the assistants that are handling this. Let's see. Um, we have a question. How do you have Sports Recruits make a highlight reel for you? Schedule a call. Let's walk through the membership options. I'll show you how it all works, but it's actually very straightforward and easy. Do you have specialists who focus on particular sports? So all of our recruiting analysts are experts in every sport. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. How can you be an expert in every sport? We've been helping families for 15 years. We have 15 years of experience helping families navigate the recruiting process. That is thousands of families, thousands of different situations. All of our recruiting analysts, the nice thing, and say this all the time, you're not working with an independent contractor. You're not working with some random person who you've just hired to help with recruiting. A Sports Recruits recruiting analyst is using all of the information that we've gathered at Sports Recruits. So their advice, their guidance is streamlined and it's proven based on our 15 years of results. So that's a good question. Let's see here. My club offers Sports Recruits. How do I know what level they provide? Great question. All clubs that provide Sports Recruits for you, they have the pro plan. So all of the resources online. So the messaging system, college coach views, roster needs filter. So that would be the level that a club is offering. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, good question. And this will be our last one. We do have just a minute left here. I thought coaches can't talk to players until they are in junior year. Is that not true? Depending on your sport, depending on the division. Some sports, Division 1 schools can only reach out to you till junior, or sorry, for all Division 1 programs, depending on your sport, it's either June 15th or September 1st or August 1st. And we have a ton of resources online about this on the Sports Recruits Recruiting Resource Center. But Division 2 and Division 3 schools can talk to you at any time. And even for Division 1 schools, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you as the student athlete can talk to coaches. You can contact coaches. You should be messaging coaches. You really want to try and build that foundation of exposure with these schools prior to junior year, because think of it this way, when June 15th or September 1st or August 1st, again, depending on your sport, when those dates hit, coaches aren't just dialing random numbers, reaching out to student athletes, right? They're reaching out to the student athletes that have been contacting them for the past 2 years and sending over video and inviting them to events. So that's really more just the contact date when coaches can start reaching out to you as a student athlete, but you as a student athlete should be reaching out prior so that you're on their list and they're aware of you. Okay, so that is all we're going to cover tonight. I know there are a ton of questions here. Shoot me an email or schedule a call. We'll talk about the different options. We'll talk about, these questions that you have. And also the recording for this will be sent to you tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. It'll automatically be sent tomorrow. All right. Well, it was great talking with everybody. I hope you got a lot out of this session. And again, you've got my email, you've got my calendar link, so we can talk more if you have more questions.